Hello, everybody, this is Game Master 127, and welcome to another episode of Review the Movie for Me. Number 2. The first one I did last Easter, ironically enough. I'm doing another Easter video. It actually went pretty good last time. I don't know, I never really got the response I was looking for, and I've talked about that, but that's okay. So, Easter video, today's video we're going to be doing for Easter, I was thinking about it, and I was looking, and I decided that what's probably a good one to do is none other than The Case for Christ. Okay, so let's get into this. Working to disprove the growing Christian faith of his wife, an investigative journalist chases down the biggest story of all time, with unexpected life-altering results. Starring Mike Vogel, Erica Christensen, Academy Award winner Faye Dunaway, and an Academy Award nominee Robert Forster. The Case for Christ is based on the true life story of Lee Strobel, author of the best-selling book. What will be your verdict? Well, I'm glad you asked. Okay. So the first thing I probably want to say is the company that made it, Pureflix, also the people who do God's Not Dead, and a bunch of the other movies. I will say that they probably handled the idea of atheism probably the best in this. It's kind of what a lot of Christian movies don't really get correct, is how to make a movie tailored towards atheists. And this one is pretty I don't know if it's the best one, but it's the best one that they've done for it. And so, Lee Strobel, again, probably one of the biggest atheists around, because he just didn't believe it. He was a pure, fact and science, kind of guy. And so then he, goes on this quest to try to disprove that Jesus, that he didn't raise himself from the dead. And so, and that's kind of how he does his investigative journey. Is he starts with, basically, it's the biggest thing is to if he disproves the resurrection, then the faith is then null, because at best in his mind he said Jesus would be a martyr, or one of his friends said that. Oh, and sorry, there's one more thing. I gotta say that for is so. A lot of the other characters in here, towards Lee's wife, is what you really want to tell people is really what it says in the Bible, is that love works. To love your enemy. It says that. And that's probably the best way that you can tailor to audiences. You can't go on, hate with hate, evil with evil. It's love for love. That's what Jesus has, called us to do. Love thy neighbor as you love yourself. That is what he has said. And so that's probably the best way you can handle, this, if you're going to talk to somebody about Jesus, is you can say, above all, that, he is God's son and he loved everyone that he met. There was not a single person that God did not love, and that's why Jesus came down. It's to love his creation. Alright, sorry, so now going into my next topic here, this is probably my favorite part about the movie, was the case arguments. So obviously, Lee's trying to figure out what he needs to do to disprove the idea that Jesus rose from the dead. Maybe that's what I was looking for. Okay. One of the things that Lee does during his investigation is he talks to a variety of experts. One of them includes, I believe it's a pastor, archaeologist. He does talk to some, I think she's Gnostic, or she might have been atheist. Either way, though, he does talk to a whole spectrum of experts. He even talks to a doctor to realize that could Jesus have survived a Roman crucifixion? And speaking of which, of all the ways to go, that's probably the most brutal way to go, and there's no way. And so, could they have moved the body? And it's like, no, not really, because, Roman guards were posted there, and the stone was set over there, and it took a whole Roman squad of soldiers to move the stones. And so that's what they were saying. It's like, the idea against the idea that Jesus rose from the dead is so overwhelming that the idea of trying to disprove it is just, it's not likely. And he tries so hard towards the end of the movie. He's like, this is my one last shot. I gotta figure out. And then it's okay. God, you win. Bam, right there. Okay. So then, he converts, baptizes, and then receives. Believe, receive equals become. That's one of the things that they talk about a lot. Is if you believe in it and then you receive Christ, you can become a Christ follower. Simple as that. And so that's probably like my favorite part of it. It's just all the extras that he talked to. So then trying to just wrap it up with things. It's overall a really solid movie. Pretty. Again, it's faith based. It's kind of like what I said. I like to look at like the faith based kind of movie, and this is definitely one of them. And it's such a nice thing, especially you don't actually have to like make atheist friends of yours watch this, but because that seems a little much, and you're kind of forcing beliefs on it. You have to realize that they come to know Christ in their own way. If they ask for a helping hand, you can give them a helping hand, but eventually they gotta make that step on their own. We all did at some point in our lives, one way or another. There can't be someone who can make that step for you. They have to do it themselves. So, in conclusion, I did not write down a grading scale, and I'm so upset about that. I did do a grading scale on the last one out of a 1 through 10. And I'd probably give it a 9. Because, and the only reason why I wouldn't give it like a 10 is, again, there were some moments that were a little dragged out. And I understand, that the whole movie was around Lee Strobel and not the work he's doing. One of the other things that had going on during the movie was the subplot that, he's still got to do actual work. He has to solve an actual case and stuff like that. And, he prejudged a guy when, he didn't have to for a crime that he didn't do. And so, I mean, did that really need to be in it? Kind of, because it is really about Lee Strobel. That's what he does. It's like I said, he's an investigative journalist, so it's kind of his job, and so you can't really... You couldn't have, the whole movie just based around just the research for it, because you'd probably be wanting to know, well, what's going on during this? What's his wife thinking? What are his kids thinking? So, that's kind of why it gets a 9. It's still a really solid movie, because when it comes down to it, the actual treatment that it had towards the experts, the idea of the atheists, and how they all, kind of like, came to be, and how, like even Lee himself, like you said, he was a really big atheist, and then he eventually came to know and love Christ. And so that's really what it comes down to, is you can't, force beliefs, or, you can defend your beliefs, yes, you can do that, but really what it comes down to is it's not your job to force your beliefs on somebody else. They have to come to Christ on their own, plain and simple. So, it's again, big point of Easter. Jesus died. He died for our sins. He rose from the dead on the 3rd day, which is Easter, which is hopefully today when this video comes out. And so, all in all, happy Easter, and God bless you. Thank you so much for watching a review of the movie from me, Case for Christ.